not bad.
I think I'm a
It's actually not bad.
audio.
What up, party people in the place to be? Everybody get in here. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Hit the share button. You already know what it is. Let's get it. Let's get busy. Spray it down. Spray everything down. What up, y'all? Come on in. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Y'all know what it is. Like it, share it. Let's get busy. There we go. We got this place wiped down. God damn.
And is accessible from all our social media channels. Whether you're a small mom and pop restaurant, a car dealership, or a professional practitioner, we invite you to join in this new KBLA Talk 1580 initiative to promote your business. As a Black-owned small business, you don't want to miss this unique opportunity to gain new customers on KBLA Talk 1580. For more information, contact us today at smb@kbla1580.com. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. If I share with you my story, would you share your shadow with me?
Hey, so I'm calling your show, 'cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door.
Okay, hold on a second, Keisha. Just let me ask Ronald exactly what's going on, because it takes two to tango, and I need to hear his side of the story.
So she's driving me insane, got stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, and I'm about to bring the pain. We seem to fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give something.
Everybody hit that like button for me, okay? Hit that like button. Here we go. Let's go. What up, family? Like it and share it. Like it and share it.
One of the keys to managing anxiety is knowing your tells, your triggers, and your glimmers.
Knowing these can help you catch anxiety sooner and take helpful steps earlier. So let's start with tells. A tell is your personal indicator that your anxiety has been triggered. In other words, how you can tell you're anxious. This can show up in your thought patterns, in the way that you feel physically or emotionally. It can show up in your actions, your decisions, and the way you interact with others. When you know this about yourself, you can tell that you're anxious and pause and ask yourself, what was my trigger and where's my glimmer? So what are those? A trigger is a cue to your body that you're in danger, and a glimmer is exactly the opposite, a cue that you're safe. So things like places, settings, situations, environmental factors, something that somebody says or does, some expectation placed on you, or upcoming events can all be examples of triggers. Of course, our own thoughts, physical sensations, emotions, actions, and physical well-being, things like being hungry or thirsty, can also be triggers for anxiety. Knowing your triggers can help you prevent, cope with, and manage anxiety by helping you take care of those triggers that are within your control and doing something grounding or using your coping skills in those situations that aren't within your control. Of course, the goal isn't to avoid all triggers. First, that's impossible. But this also can reinforce anxiety, and it makes our world a whole lot smaller. Really, the goal is to just begin to be more mindful about our anxiety. Now, this leads us to glimmers. What are those? Those are anything in your environment, anything that you feel or experience that gives you that little sense of ease or peace, relaxation, that makes you feel like, I'm okay, things are going to be okay, it's safe to relax. It can be something as simple as seeing the sun streaming through the window, hearing a wind chime. It can be the sound of your friend's laughter, a favorite song, a favorite meal. Basically, anything that gives you that little sense of well-being. When you're anxious, you can use your glimmers to walk yourself out of fight, flight, or freeze a little at a time. You can also incorporate breathing. Very interesting discussion prepared for you today. Glimmers, which are said to be the opposite of triggers. Glimmers, moments of gratitude. I think Big Mama didn't know she created glimmers when she said, you think you doing bad? I can show you some people that's doing bad. Huh? You want to see somebody doing bad? You got a house over your head, a roof over your head. Huh? You got a blanket on your bed. You got pillows. Did you eat tonight? Did you have extras? Huh? That's a glimmer. So, and you know, psychologists are always doing creative things to recontextualize old ideas, you know. A glimmer just sounds like be thankful, be grateful for what you have and where you are. It's a type of grace, right? But triggers, we already know what triggers are, and we understand, as the clip articulated so eloquently, you can't avoid all triggers, right? And you can't use glimmers to avoid your triggers. See, we live in a spiritually lazy society. Anything that requires inner tough inner work, any tough inner work, most people are looking for a quick way out. You know, I'd hate that this apparently new concept of glimmering doesn't turn into the new toxic positivity, right? That kind of pushes you away from the meaning of going through difficult moments. You're supposed to be triggered. Your triggering system, your nervous system, is designed to bring to your attention that which you have buried and that which is being mirrored back to you right now through probably the vehicle of relationship, right? That's what triggers are for. Wake up. Still got work to do. You're not done. No, it's glimmer time. Glimmer time. No. And I'm not saying glimmering is a bad idea, but triggers are to be transmuted. Somebody meme it. I need to see it. Triggers are to be transmuted. You cannot transmute a trigger unless you face it
with loving, non-judgmental empathy. But if you're glimmering, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it feels like a slippery slope. Tonight's topic, the trigger whisperer, i.e. the alchemist. A deeper look into the process of transmuting triggers into glimmers. Glimmers and triggers are opposite in terms of how they affect your nervous system and emotions. True or false? Glimmers and triggers are opposite in that, I read that, I'm sorry. Oh, no, I didn't. Glimmers and triggers are opposites in that glimmers spark positive feelings while triggers spark negative ones. What's the difference, again, between glimmers and triggers? True or false? Glimmers are small moments that can make you feel safe, joyful, and connected, while triggers can make you feel anxious, fearful, or angry. And you already know what happens when we feel anxious, fearful, or angry. We're in fight or flight mode. We're ready to run. We're ready to bounce, right? We're ready to get up out of there. Fight, flight, or freeze, right? How can I identify my glimmers? Well, I think you have to be careful about that, because whatever the thinker thinks, the prover will prove, i.e. whatever you're looking for, you tend to see. So, for many people see triggers everywhere, even where there are none, right? And it's almost like an anticipatory trigger, The word triggered is often associated with emotional upset or distress. How might we utilize Krishnamurti's concept of observing without judgment to transmute triggers? Wow, that's heavy. In what ways do glimmers help us focus on being love instead of doing acts of service and using that as evidence of love in our relationships? I know you're not ready for these types of questions. I need to hit you upside the head with that again, because it might have slipped past you. Did it slip past you, Andy? Let me slap him one more time. In what ways do glimmers help us focus on being love instead of doing acts of service and using those acts of service as evidence of love in our relationships? 1-800-920-1580. I want to talk. Have you been triggered? Huh? Who triggers you? Why are you triggered? Do you learn from your triggers? Do you evolve from your triggers? Do you know how to turn your triggers into something positive? They're calling it a glimmer. Big Mama said you got favor, God's favor. You got grace on you. Huh? True or false? To remain triggered is a choice. Ooh, how do I use my glimmers to improve my mental health? What is the difference between wishful thinking, toxic positivity, and glimmers of hope for a better relationship outcome? Are we focusing on triggers as a way to avoid confronting our own inner mess? How does the watering down of psychological verbiage contribute to the promotion of victimhood mentality and or victim blaming? Let's water it down, right? I love it. This is good. Listen, you're going to be triggered in adult relationships. Nobody gets out of their relationship with their mother or father, right? Their parents, the primary caregivers, without some type of attachment style. Now, unfortunately, there's only 4 attachment styles, and only one of them is considered secure. So now you got 3 insecure attachment styles. So it stands to reason that the majority of people with attachment styles, which is everybody has one, is probably an insecure attachment style. So you probably have a firsthand understanding of what it means to be triggered. But what do you do with your triggers? We all got triggered by Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson said, that girl, she ain't even black, I heard. Somebody told me she wasn't black. Black people got triggered We're going to cancel the icon. Right? What happened to Krishnamurti's philosophy? How does Krishnamurti's idea of choiceless awareness dissolve the charge of triggers and open a space for recognizing glimmers? Couldn't somebody say, hey, maybe Janet needs a teachable moment? Or other people probably said, you know what, I agree with Janet, but people were triggered. Too much. This society is such a judgmental society. If you even act like you, let me just stop. No, I'm gonna continue. Listen, why black people always acting like we unified? Huh? Not even all the democratic black folk unified. Huh? So you gonna blame somebody because she has her own opinion? You triggered. How can we turn this into a glimmer moment? Right? Right? How can we turn this into a glimmer moment? Why does Janet Jackson have to get it right about Kamala? If she has a duty and a responsibility as an entertainer. What did Malcolm say about entertainers speaking on politics? Comics, actors, singers. What did he say? Was Malcolm with it? No, he wasn't. Even the great Dick Gregory at the time was speaking on politics. Malcolm was like, he should not be talking. He's a comic. Y'all don't remember that? So why are we offended? Sometimes, man, those triggers are just a little bit deeper, right? Let's find out the source of the trigger. Where does it come from, right? Are we triggered because we're not really unified, but we're acting unified at the polls? Ooh, right? Casting a vote is easier than showing empathy, right? Towards your brother. Sympathy and love and honor and care and consideration. I think that's easier. I think it's easier to cast a vote, right? I mean, I'm really trying to ask here. Could triggers be necessary, right? I want y'all to hear this. Could triggers be considered necessary, right? Dark night of the soul, right? Is a necessary dark night of the soul in relationships that serves as a catalyst for deeper spiritual growth and union. Sometimes we must be triggered to find out listen what I'm about to say, what our problem is. Our problem, not society's problem, our problem. Why am I triggered by that? Right? And how can I turn that trigger into a glimmer? Does the concept of glimmers align with Abraham Maslow's notion of peak experiences? And if so, how do they lead us closer to self-actualization in relationships? Glimmers, right? Something valuable, something positive. When we come forward, I'll be opening the phone lines. We know we're going to get busy tonight. I want to hear from people tonight. I want to hear your thoughts and perspective on tonight's topic. We got another slapper. Let's get it. Let's go, y'all. Let's go. Let's go. Everybody hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the like, share, share. Like, share. Talk to your brother. Y'all want to call in? I want to talk to you guys early. Can I get everybody to call in early? What up, Zoe? How you living? I'm good. Andy Cry Piano. What up? Talk to me, people. Talk to me. 1-800-920-1580. Hit the like button. 1-800-920-1580. And if you want to support the show, you can go directly to my Cash App, $ZoWhatNetter. Once again, that's $ZoWhatNetter. Moderators, a symbol. Please put in my Cash App, $ZoWhatNetter, Cipriano. Yes, Cipriano. Moderators, please, support. Hit the like button, share it. Let's get it. Let's get it. We got 45 people in here. We got 29 likes. Let's go. People are triggered when you make them account. Ooh, can you call in? Never ending. Can you call in? I'd love to hear from you. So what's your prices for a one-on-one? Well, you'd have to email me. You'd have to go to my website, mrzowhat.com. There's a coaching tab there. You go there and I'll send you an email with the instructions on how to procure a one-on-one session with me. You better put your finger on the right trigger, get motivated to do something. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Go to mrzowhat.com, hit the coaching button. Okay, there's a coaching button, and then fill out the questionnaire. With one-on-one session, is it okay to ask you a lot of questions? Sure. Sure, absolutely. And if you're serious, you'll sign up, you'll make the payment. I'll see the payment later, and then I'll give you a time when to call. I will call, but I'm at work. That's all right. Live in 30 seconds. I need some callers. Let's get in here and talk. Andy Cipriano.
Visit our website at cow-cruise-news.com. That's cow-cruise-news.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN.
That's Cipriano. Callers, call me now.
She don't believe in shooting stars, but she believes in shoes and cars. Wood floors in the new apartment, couture from the store's departments. You more like love to start. I'm more of the trips to Florida, order the orders, views of the water, straight from a page of your favorite author. And the weather's so breezy, man, why can't life always be this easy? She in the mirror dancing so sleazy. I get a call like, where are you, easy? And try to hit you with the old whoppy till I got flashed by the pop.
Today, I'm going to talk about Glimmers. Most of you have probably heard about or experienced a trigger, a present moment where we relive a past emotional experience, usually having a huge reaction. A glimmer can be thought of as the opposite of a trigger. It's a moment where you feel calm, grounded, peaceful, even content. A trigger is a stimulus that activates dysregulation in our nervous system, or our sympathetic fight or flight response. A glimmer is a stimulus that activates regulation, or our parasympathetic nervous system, or safe and social response. Some examples of glimmers might be spending a special moment with someone you love, or just feeling the sun on your skin when you're outside, or maybe being in awe of nature, possibly having a stimulating conversation with someone, or a kind interaction with a stranger, even reading your favorite book. Glimmers activate our ventral vagal nervous system. This causes changes in our body. It lowers our blood pressure and even the stress hormone cortisol. And it causes emotional changes, which include feeling safer, more secure, increasing our feelings of belonging and acceptance, increasing our ability to feel joyful, to laugh, to be lighthearted, and even increases our mobility or motivation. It gives us the energy and ability to try new things, for many of us helping us become unstuck. Neuroscience actually shows us that we can teach our body to notice and experience more glimmers. Through repetition, our body can become more and more aware of and comfortable embodying the safety and security that they offer. You have to.
Let me just say, that is a hell of a compliment. Ida Alfaro in the chat basically said, this show is a glimmer. People come here and, they feel safe, non-judgmental space for you to call and share your thoughts. But I want to go against, contemporary philosophical or psychological framing here. We have to stop looking externally for the glimmer. The glimmer, like any other aspect of, this process of learning ourselves, this process of being a human being, I believe that it has to come from the inside. Like, this is where attachment comes from. Attachment is suffering, according to the Buddha, right? The source of suffering is attachment. Imagine if your glimmer was external. That's where you got it from. Oh, I get it from my child. I get it from my woman. I get it from my family. I get it from blah, 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 right? Right. I believe there's a potential for addiction when that happens, right? I believe the glimmer must be an internal movement. Glimmers and triggers stand as contrasting threads, each of them woven with unique significance. Glimmers, ephemeral moments of connection and joy, illuminate our existence. Triggers, conversely, can cast shadows of anxiety and fear. What I'm finding is both a glimmer and a trigger, right? It's transactional. Not transactional, it's ephemeral is the word I'm looking for. It doesn't last. Even the trigger doesn't last. The trigger and the glimmer, they're only there for a moment. It's momentary is the word I'm saying, right? Why do we put so much faith in that which is momentary? So the glimmer's not going to last forever, that moment of joy. And it reminds me of the work of Krishnamurti, when Krishnamurti says whenever we, feel or participate in a glimmer, what is the natural proclivity of the human being to do? We want to have it again. We want to control it. We want to contain it. We want to experience it again. We want it to last. Make it last. Where's Keith Sweat? We want to make it last forever. Right? And that's just not how life works. And many of us who've never had glimmers in our childhood, parental glimmers, right? We are haunted by past triggers. But we think those triggers are merely there just to torment us. No, really the trigger is there to tear you down so that you can rebuild yourself. And it is possible to do, and no, it's not going to end in your lifetime. You're going to be rebuilding yourself forever, but that's part of the journey. So many people want a day off from spirit work. Didn't Carl Jung say that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid looking at themselves? Everybody's looking for a day off from spirit work. Spirit work is a lifelong process. This is how you evolve into the being you're supposed to be. When we come forward, I'm going to tear this thing down even further. Let's get it. Attila, you believe in magic? You believe that words are magic? You believe that words are spells? Look at the spell you just cast. Spirit work is hard and exhausting. Did you see that? So let's not do throwaway spells, right? Glimmer me timbers. Say it's challenging. And say I enjoy challenges. Glimmer me timbers is comedy. Boy. Glimmer me timbers. Lovable Quan, I want to hear your voice tonight. Please call in. Attila should have been called in. JT, I want to hear your voice tonight. Jay, you at work, aren't you? Trial and tribulations build character. It's all for your good. Jumper. Whoosh. What up, y'all? Let me see who's on the line. Nobody. Y'all supporting the show tonight? Please support the show the best way you know how. You already know what I need you to do. I need you to hit the super chat, as somebody just did. They gave us $5. Hopefully, let me shout them out. I know I liked their Dade Soldier. Thank you, Dade Soldier. Everybody hit Dade Soldier. Please like his contribution. If you want to send it directly to Cash App, you could do that too. Yo, bro, big fan. Love your articulation ability. Thank you, Jeremy. Big ups to that super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Multiple ways to support now. You can go to the super chat, right? Which is the $ down at the bottom of the chat. Or you can send it directly to my Cash App, right? Please support your brother. The Cash App is $Netter, or you can hit the super chat. Support. Has anybody ever, how many people in here out of the 40 people that are already in here, we need one more like. How many people in here have read The Shrouded Lighthouse? By show of hands, let's see. 1, 2. You got to get The Shrouded Lighthouse. Go to my website, MrZowhat.com. John Gilbreth has raised it. We're up at 3 people. Go to my website. Hey, Deanna, go to my website. Deanna doesn't have to. I remember signing hers, if I'm not mistaken. Jeremy Sims, go to my website. JT, I know JT has read it. The Shrouded Lighthouse is crazy. Truemonger, going back through it again later. Hey, man, let me tell you, that book is fire. Come on, CCATL. Go to my website, MrZowhat.com. Go to my website. Order your copy. This is how you support the channel. This is how you support the platform. I have them all. Let me tell you. I ain't going to say it because Nikki will say that I'm dangling the carrot. But listen, if you haven't purchased it, get it. Dade Soldier has it. Nick Love has it. I love that there are people in here who have it. But I would say maybe 10% of the people in here actually bought the book. You guys can get the book. Go to my website. Go to my website. Waiting for the next book. You got to wait. It's a book. It's a book. It's not a chicken pot pie from Swanson's. It's a book that I have to write. And as I'm writing and editing and, you know, Rex G says, I have it. Rex G, yeah, it's a fire book. Thank you for getting it. What's upper family? I'm here. What up, Suge Mac 510? What's macking? No, that editing is a whole different monster. It's a whole different monster. It can make or break the book. It's like physical therapy after you had surgery. If you got the wrong physical therapist, boy, it ruined the whole surgery. You got to probably go back and get it done again. Good books aren't produced like fast food. It's true. I'm game, huh? Waiting for you. I'm telling you, the book, though. So, if you don't have a copy of The Shrouded Lighthouse, go to my website, mrzowood.com. Get it. Support the best way you know how. We're about to come back probably like 30 seconds. Here we go, 30 seconds. Ah, perfect.
Hey everyone, Dr. Raman here, and it's such a pleasure to let you know that today you can order Kimberly Shannon Murphy's book, Glimmer, a story of survival, hope, and healing. We will link in the video notes. This was an extraordinary book and an extraordinary story. You may not know her name, but you've seen her if you've watched a movie that has ever had a famous tall actress, think like an Uma Thurman or like a Cameron Diaz kind of actress doing a stunt. Kimberly was the one doing it. She herself is a tall, really strong woman who does these stunts. So she's a stunt woman. And it's not an easy book to read, and so, for those of you who have had histories of abuse in childhood, take a look and take a minute as you decide that for yourself, because it's an extraordinarily powerful book. It's a powerful book on not only complex trauma and childhood abuse, but how families collude to leave the most vulnerable member of a family to be harmed, and the denial that can happen in family systems for a very, very long time. We learn that when we talk about narcissistic abuse, when it's embedded in families, it's often embedded in much, much more complicated family systems that go above and beyond the narcissistic abuse. But even when horrific abuse is happening, in Kimberly's story, I have to say, I've been in the therapist game for almost 25 years, and hers is one of the more difficult, painful, and traumatizing stories I have had the opportunity to hear. That you recognize that the narcissistic abuse still, despite all that, makes a strong impact. And that was something that struck me in my conversation with Kimberly.
But in her book, what you read is what happens in families and the arduous process of healing. She shares in frank detail what her process was. And these books are so important because these books, for survivors to read these, you read about how hard it was, how hard it can still be, but that things can evolve and shape and grow, that people can find remarkable things in their lives, and people can take back their lives. And even as the wounds of the trauma echo, the people do persist. And I'll tell you, there's no.
Can I? I'm not pushing back on anything the illustrious Dr. Ramani is saying, but can I offer a recontextualization? Spirituality is nuanced, right? It's intellectually and psychologically nuanced. And I would say it's counterintuitive to those things. Right? There are no straight lines. You know, you might not get an answer in the next 5 years to a question you've been asking. Because, you know, source might have you walking a particular path that has certain stops, and the stops may appear to be random to you, but they are divinely guided from on high, so that you may extrapolate bits and pieces of an answer, right? But it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle. Each experience has a different piece to this particular jigsaw puzzle type answer, right? And sometimes the pieces you get don't always fit together. Sometimes you got to go through one experience to get a piece, but then you got to go through 2 more experiences to get 2 pieces that might fit the edges of the first piece you got. And then you might have a piece that's just sitting out there that you haven't experienced a particular situation yet that hasn't given you the piece that would bring all these pieces together by way of connecting to the piece that seems like the outcast. See, people don't understand spirit. It can't be linear because there's too much information. Anything that is logical and linear is basic spiritually, right? This is why we go to the basic response to trauma. Trauma hurts. Run to what feels good, even though it's not good for me. See, sometimes we can run away from a hurting, painful situation, but not understanding that there is a spiritual resonance on us after being traumatized. There is a spiritual resonance. So we'll run to a new situation thinking the new situation is a new start, not understanding that the new situation may very well be a continuation of what you just left, right? Because you tend to attract what you know. You can't attract the unknown in you. You attract the known in you. What do you mean the known? That which has already been established. See, once a wound is established, a wound becomes a type of spiritual beacon that's calling in concomitant experiences that mirror it. That's what it's for. Why does it need a mirror? So it could see itself, so it could give up its ego, so it can give up its identity. What do you mean? Observation? Yes, non-judgmental observation will cause a wound to unravel. Wounds like to operate in a clandestine manner. Wounds like to operate behind the scenes in the subconscious, sending up suggestions, right, to the conscious. Hey, this looks like that. Hey, this might be that. Hey, go in this direction. Don't be led by a wound GPS. Don't do that. At the heart of this discussion lies a fundamental truth. Glimmers and triggers are indeed opposites. While glimmers spark feelings of joy, safety, and connection, triggers evoke anxiety, fear, or anger. This dichotomy invites us to examine how we navigate these emotional landscapes, to identify our glimmers, right? We must cultivate mindfulness. This is all spirituality couched in psychological talk, right? We say we must cultivate mindfulness, self-awareness, meditation, right? We have to get into a space where we stop the chatter of the wounds and the old mind and the hurt little child, and we get to a space where the sky is clear, where the canvas is clear. It's very difficult to do that when your wounds are your boss. When we come forward, I know we got callers, I see them, I'm gonna get to y'all, but we trying to cook it up for you right now. Fire. It's good stuff. We got Attila on the line. Can we get 2 more callers? I'm asking for 2 more callers. Let me check these the Cash Apps to see if anybody has hooked their brother up with a little gratitude, with a little appreciation gift on Cash App. My Cash App is $.OWhatNetter. Please continue to support. We got 1 Cash App, but it's such an inspirational Cash App. It's from Quan. Hey, Quan. Let me just say, that little note, I got you, Attila. That little note you left for me, that was sweet. That was sweet. No, dead ass. And it was short and simple. She said, thanks for the inspo, the inspiration or information, depending. Thanks for the information or inspiration. I love it. Quan, thank you. Thank you, Quan. You too can support. It's 62 people. If 62 people gave $2 to my Cash App right now, $2 ain't nothing. We trick off $2 on, what's your favorite candy? Lemon Heads, Boston Baked Beans, Cherry Chans. I'm naming the old schools, right? What's your favorite candy? Now and Laters. Thank you, lovable Quan. What up, John Gilbreth II? Come on, brother, get in here. Let's talk early. I wants to talk. Kiki Long, get in here, Kiki. Call us right now. The number to dial is 1-800-920-1580. Boston Baked Beans, I ain't even gonna front. And they just peanuts, but they delicious. Share that beat of love. All right, dance you in today.
You've asked us to cover the effects of narcissistic parents on their children. So we sat down with Dr. Seth Meyers to explain how to spot the signs of narcissistic traits in your parents. Plus, we discuss how to cope with those psychological effects of having 1 or more parents with narcissism. All right, now narcissism may be one of my favorite, for lack of a better term, mental health topics. What is narcissism?
So narcissism is a personality disorder. The official name is Narcissistic Personality Disorder. It involves a few central criteria. An overinflated, overt sense of the self. It involves lack of empathy at times with others. It involves a difficulty in relationships. So there are several things involved in that. Here's what's most important, though, with understanding a narcissist. A narcissist is not who they appear to be on the surface. Think about it like an astrological sign of a Gemini, right? There's two selves. That is who the narcissist is. So who the narcissist tries to appear to be on the surface. The image they try to sell to the public and to themselves, and then there is their underlying true self. Now, of course, anybody who really likes themselves, loves themselves, isn't going to be so hell-bent on proving to the world how great they are, how superior they are. So clearly, what they don't know is they're so much more transparent in some ways than they know. So there's the two selves. There's the false self, which is the self they try to sell to the world, and there's the real self, which is how they really feel. And deep down, there is an insecurity, a feeling that there's only enough love and attention, enough accolades to go around. So it's a bit of a chess game. You must do what you can to make sure you get as much attention as possible.
Wow. Wow. Imagine if that's one of your parents. You know, imagine what the child has to do in order to, grow up in that. And like I said, I'm not going to push back on Dr. Ramani too much, but I do believe we need to change the terminology. We have to stop saying survive, right? Instead of survivors of anything, abuse, any type of abuse, can we say thrivers? Right? Because many people will say, I'm alive. Well, no, you don't want to just be alive. You want to thrive, right? So instead of saying a survivor, because survivor to me has this connotation that feels like, yeah, I'm just making it through. I'm just hanging in there. I'm doing okay. I'm gonna figure it out. I think we should just really just shift the entire vibration. Would that not be a glimmer? Right? A linguistic glimmer? Can we have emotional glimmers? Can we have psychological glimmers? Can we have a wide range of glimmers? And sometimes because we speak spells into our life, right? Why not change the nomenclature, change the wording, change the framing of it, and start to speak glimmers into our life, right? Transmuting triggers into glimmers necessitates a shift in focus, right? From reaction to reflection. The teachings of Don Miguel Ruiz remind us that we have the power to choose our responses by recognizing that remaining triggered is, to some extent, a choice. We can reframe our experiences, right? Now, they're telling you can reframe and rewrite and recontextualize your attachment style. So I'm sure we can do the DIY glimmer. We could do it yourself glimmer. We can construct a glimmer for our own sakes. Something that we can tap in that means something to us, that elevates us in the moment. Right? By recognizing that remaining trigger is, to some extent, a choice, we can reframe our experiences. By reframing, or this reframing, allows us to harness the energy of our triggers as a catalyst for growth, rather than, this reinforcement of obstacles to our peace. In relationships, glimmers serve as beacons of love and connection. the same is true of triggers. They too are beacons. Triggers become intransigent when we try to ignore them, right? We allow them to burrow deeper into our spirit. Then they become part of the super ego, part of the id. They integrate themselves into the ego. Then they become your identity. And then you feel some kind of way when you recognize, gosh, this is the cancer in my spirit that I got to get out. Yee. In relationships, glimmers serve as beacons of love and connection, right? Emphasizing being love rather than merely performing acts of service. This distinction is crucial. It prioritizes authentic emotional presence over transactional expressions of love. As Wayne Dyer suggests, the act of being love cultivates a deeper sense of belonging and fulfillment, transcending the superficiality of conditional love. I had a whole conversation with a sister. We were in one of those black cars, one of those black trucks, coming back from a cigar lounge in Menifee, California, out there by Temecula. Beautiful black-owned cigar lounge. I'm going to shout them out. They're called Rendezvous. We were there watching all the games with a bunch of people from our local cigar lounge, and we went down there, just one black business supporting another. And she's a lawyer, young, beautiful sister, and, she was just talking about how love isn't enough. And I was just like, your knowledge isn't enough. And I know you feel like you're pretty educated, but your educational system does not teach you about spiritual evolution. So of course you would say love isn't enough, because all you have to fall back on is the rigid construct using the scientific method of Western thought. So now love got to prove itself. Do you know how idiotic that sounds? Love got to prove itself to your wounds. Huh? Wait, what? Yeah, love. Huh? Okay. Listen, we got callers calling in. I'm going to get to y'all. You know how I like to do it. I like to set these things up. But please understand, love does not have to prove anything. Love is like the truth, right? And these are just words. Like, love is like God, right? These are just words. But we're talking about the reality of truth. We're talking about the reality of love. We talk about the reality of God, which are all synonymous. God doesn't have to prove itself. Living in God, on God, through God, with God. Like, there's no proof necessary, right? Here's the reality. You want to be defined by what you've been through? Or do you want to transcend what you've been through? Do you want to become the master of what you've been through? Maybe glimmering is a new way to do so. When we come forward, promise you this time, phone calls coming through. Let's get it. Sunlight. Oh, no. Well, get in here, Kiki. Don't talk about it. Be about it. Let's go. 1-800-920-1580. No, the lines are not blocked. The lines are wide open. Y'all want to see? The lines are not full. Look. Andy is on the phone right now. No, Andy is there. He's right there.
Relationship is in trouble, I'm giving you the call. Has your soulmate become your soulmate?
What up, Eddie?
Black love still exists. What are your bedroom
Eddie, we saw somebody in the lounge that
fantasies,
looked exactly like you today. Dana pointed it out to me. Looks exactly like you, bro. But literally 2 feet shorter than you. But looked exactly like you. It was like, yo, come, Chris is here. And what? That ain't Chris. I mean, Chris is like, what are you, 6'3", Chris? 6'4", something like that? Nah, he can't be.
So will you.
6'4", that's what I thought.
The voice of reason.
Today we're going to talk about trauma triggers, since these can sneak up on us. You know, they can be upsetting and often ruin our days. And before we jump into that, I want to let you know that my book Traumatized is available for pre-order right now. In this book, I dig into what trauma is, how it can feel, and ways that we can heal from it. It's my hope that this helps answer any questions or concerns that you may have about PTSD and offers tangible options for healing and growth. So click the link at the top of the description to pre-order yours now. Isn't she pretty? I'm so excited. I hope you love it. Most of us are aware of the larger trauma triggers. We can recognize some of the people, places, and things that harmed us and do our best to avoid them all. For example, if our trauma had something to do with the beach, we can avoid any area with sand or sounds of the beach. We can sit down with our therapist and make a list of all the things that we know trigger our trauma response or bring us back into those frightening events. But what about the unconscious triggers, the ones that maybe we don't recognize and often find upsetting us or pulling us into flashbacks and causing us to dissociate? Those are the ones that I want to talk about today. The unconscious trauma triggers, and how we can identify them so that they no longer harm us. We are constantly taking in our environment, the sounds, the scents, how the outside air feels on our skin. We are like sponges for sensation, which can be great when it comes to enjoying ourselves and assessing our area for threat so that we're kept safe. But this can also make us more vulnerable to trauma triggers, which brings me to one of the most common unconscious trauma triggers, scent. Over the years, I've had patients report getting flashbacks or dissociating when in tight or busy spaces, like an elevator or a work conference, and chalking it up to being around a lot of people that they don't know. And while that may be the case, sometimes when we dig a little deeper, we can find that a perfume or cologne worn by someone in the office or at that event was actually to blame for the upset. Our other senses could be just as guilty for causing these trauma responses when we're out in the world living our life. This could be someone raising their voice at us at work because we're in a heated debate about how to present this thing to our new boss. That small increase in the volume of their voice can cause us to dissociate, lash out, or shut down completely. So check in with yourself after feeling overwhelmed or pushed into a flashback and see if you're able to recall any of the stimuli around you. Like what song was playing? Who was near me? Did they say something in particular? Any smells come to mind? Body sensations? What was I eating or drinking? Doing this sort of personal research will allow us to be more aware of what's in our environment and potentially causing our trauma response. Another unconscious type of trigger are emotional ones. These are situations where the way we feel or respond triggers our trauma response. It could be someone talking down to us or treating us like a child. That feeling of being lesser than or not as important could trigger us to fight back or leave the situation altogether.
It's really interesting. Could a glimmer just be Happy Gilmore's happy place? You remember Happy Gilmore, the movie? Adam Sandler and Carl Weathers. He was learning, Adam Sandler's learning to be a golfer, and he's being trained by Carl Weathers, one of the great actor Carl Weathers' best comedic roles, Chubbs, where the alligator bit his hand off and he trains. And one of the things that he teaches him is to go to his happy space, right? Where, this is a way of mindfulness to get him to calm down and settle down, because he wasn't really good at putting. He was good at the long ball. He wasn't good at the short ball. So Chubbs taught him, to go to his happy place. Is Glimmer just a new fancy way of reintroducing, the happy place? We've got callers on the line. I want to get them in. Let's get them in based on who's been on the longest. Attila from Houston, Texas. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic? Yo, what's happening?
Listen, I'm just sitting here listening.
All right. What are your thoughts?
So, to start off with what you just said about the happy place, no, I don't think that mindfulness is the same thing as a glimmer. And nor do I think it's wishful thinking. I think those are all three simultaneously, three different things. Mindfulness being the place that you're in prior to the internal shift. I feel like the glimmer is the internal shift. You see what I'm saying? And wishful thinking is really just you having these thoughts of what could be better without any internal action. So it's externally based.
Wow.
That's how I would describe it.
Interesting.
So, yes. So with that being said, Jack made a really good comment in the live. He was saying it's crazy how they, as a narcissist, give the false self all the maturity traits of a normal person, but the real self still hasn't healed really from childhood. And I read that and I'm like, well, yeah, that's all of this. I mean, that prior to you doing any work, that is exactly where you're at. We have the math that is mature, that goes to work, that gets paid. And then we have the childish self that shows up in the relationships because, let's be real, our partner has nowhere to go.
Are you telling me, as the wounded child, because you say we're all got to carry that wounded child around, are we secretly trying to date a spiritual parent, someone to give us what we didn't get in childhood?
I definitely have. I don't know who's going to be real tonight, but I know I have.
I don't know who going to be real tonight is the coldest diss ever. I don't know who going to call in and be real tonight. 1-800-920-1580. That's deep. So we're looking for a spiritual adult in our partner so we can lay all of the desires and wants and needs from this wounded child. And what was interesting about that clip, man, you could get transported back to that trauma based on a scent, based on a flavor, food, based on an environment, a location. You can get transported. Unhealed trauma or wounds act as one-way time machines. They only go to the past. Isn't that interesting?
I mean, you know what they call that in the church? That's called the spirit of offense.
Whoa, go deep. Come on. Say what?
Yeah, so we let our pain take the spirit of offense, and that becomes our defense. The spirit of offense is our defense. That is the thing that's defending you when you feel like you've been disrespected, whether that's occurred or not. So again, like I said, that wishful thinking is external. The glimmer is internal, and it draws from the light that is within you, even in the face of unlikely odds. So I think that's why it sounds so magical. But you're pulling it from what's already within. That wishful thinking is something based on external means. That's the peace versus the quiet.
Right.
So my second point, before I get off the song.
We got time.
This is
I said, keep going. We got time. Go. I'm listening.
Well, no, I want to give other people the chance to speak for real. Like, I feel like I've been talking a lot, but my second piece is the observe without judgment. This is why that's so important. And I'm realizing this now in dealing with my own issues with family and just myself, whatever. It's important because it's allowing you to visualize the humanity of your offender. So you don't really have time to take the space of a spirit of offense, because you are able to visualize who they were prior to offending you. And so that's important to do, because judgment can be normalized in certain cases. If you were abused, it would make sense to say, well, you did this to me, you blah, 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 blah. But I think observing without judgment kind of absolves you of that need to feel that you need to be defended. The other side of this, though, is remaining triggered versus embracing the glimmers, right? I think the difference between those two is observing yourself. That is like the defining difference between the two. And that's all I got to say.
That's heavy. The actual quote from the great philosopher Krishnamurti is, the ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. What happens if we take evaluation out of our intimate relationship process? We gonna get right back to judgment, right? Because I made a mistake choosing him when I should have chose him, and I shouldn't have gave him a chance because I was already with him, and then I cut that off to get with him, and
petty trifles of the ego, child.
Man, but do you understand how big of a piece evaluation has in our modern day relationships? And if your unhealed wounds are doing the evaluating, let me just say, I got to ask you this question before you go. If your unhealed wounds are doing the evaluating, gosh, can those same unhealed wounds, or are you separate from the wounds? Can you still create a glimmer within that environment where these unhealed wounds exist? Are the wounds separate from you, or are you guys one and the same?
I think that when you're in the space, at least I can only speak for myself, and the times that I have been wounded, I wasn't able to understand that I was separate from the wound. It's kind of like, how would I describe this? It's kind of like if you were to see an accident happen in front of you, and your mind has tricked you somehow that you were part of the accident, but really you're just the observer, and you were convinced that you were in this accident, and they're like, dude, you weren't even a part of it. You literally associated yourself in an incident that you never were in. And I kind of would, I would equate it to that. I don't think that at the time of being offended, we can make the distinction between who we are as people at the moment and who we are at the time of offense. I think we think that all is one thing. And we don't understand that you can actually move past that space, because I think that the ego doesn't really care about time. So the offense may have occurred 20 years ago. The ego says, no, this is important today.
Let me ask. Keep going, because I have one more question.
No, I just think that's just how I've experienced myself. Like, in observing myself, there are things that I'm reacting to that occurred 14, 15 years ago. And it doesn't really make sense, because that was 14, 15 years ago. This is today. And so if I'm reacting to a small petty offense based on an upset that happened 14, 15 years ago, my reaction is not proportioned to the situation. And I can't see that until someone points it out. You see what I'm saying?
Right, the mirror of relationship. Now I have the question, can unhealed trauma, childhood trauma, unhealed wounds, unrequited wounds, can they gaslight us?
I know I guess what myself.
No, the wound, not the wound itself, the hurt, the pain, the event. Can it gaslight you
Yes.
to see
Because
things that
part
aren't
of the
there?
gaslighting is, part of the gaslighting is the look, you're hurt. And you're like, actually, I'm fine. And the wound is like, nah, but see, look, we're hurting. Nah, the wound is hurting. It will convince you that you are hurt. Like, we hurt. We sick, boss? No, we're not.
Don't tell me the wound is we sick, boss. Don't do that. Oh.
It's trying to shuck and jive into getting you to believe that you're hurt currently, and you're not. This is a past event that you have now triggered based on something that happened a long time ago, and you are convinced that the current situation is involving something that it sounds crazy. It's like we are crazy making with ourselves. Like, you know how they talk about narcissists doing the whole crazy making thing in the word salad? We do that stuff to ourselves, which is why when you explain it to someone else, that other person is listening to it like, but girl, that happened 12 years ago. If you got real people around you, they'll tell you, girl, that happened 12 years ago. But I think that the thing about wounds collect people that agree with it. And so chances are the people around you might not be able to spot, right?
Oh my God. Wait, slow down. Wait, slow down. Slow down. Wounds collect people that agree with it. This is classic narcissism. Are you saying a wound collects flying monkeys?
I definitely feel so. Yes.
Listen, Otto.
We all have that.
Go ahead. No, finish. We all have what?
No, I was just gonna say, we all have that friend that like you don't want to go to because you know they're gonna tell you the real. Well, we also all have those friends or people that are gonna be in your corner no matter what. And so I think it just kind of depends on where you're at in your stage of development. If you're ready to get real, you go to those friends who are going to tell you, bro, that ain't right. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I love it. Attila, guess what you just did?
How about Houston in the building?
Houston, Texas is in the building. If you want to bring your city in the building, all you got to do is call me on 1-800-920-1580. What'd you say?
Keita from Decatur, where you at?
Oh, Keita from Decatur? Keita from Decatur, what happened to you? And then JT, ATL, JT called in. Where are you? Why y'all hang up? Don't call in and hang up. I want to talk to you. Give me a call. The number to dial is 1-800-920-1580. We on fire tonight. Yo, that was good. That was good. Where my brothers at? Where the brothers at? Get to your phone lines. What's the deal? This is a new week.
This is what we got to do, son.
Yeah.
When new booties call in, let's grab them first.
I was thinking of grabbing JT. Soon as she called in, I was like, I should grab her.
Just because for whatever.
Because I know JT be at work.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But just because, you know, the new booties,
I didn't see
don't
the.
know how long.
Yeah, and I didn't see the other name.
You didn't see that one? Okay.
No.
No worries.
That's a West Coast. The new booties. You a new booty to the hood. Hey, when I tell you, Andy is L.A., like, will you be hearing people the way they talk? Listen here, cuss. I got time today, cuss. On God. Andy is L.A. like that. Sometimes new booties is wild. Come on, Attila, stop cutting up. We ain't got no callers. What happened? You guys were asked to call in. Nobody's calling in? Come on, y'all don't do me like that. Get to your phone lines, 1-800-920-1580. It's a discussion, not a monologue. Call me. Green X, thank you for the Cash App. Booties like baby feet. Truemonger, call in. It's been a minute, man. Nazarene, call in. It's been a minute. Why am I begging y'all to call in? I don't understand. Y'all normally call in. Just tell me you don't like the topic. Is that what it is? I ain't never heard no new booties. Yeah, it's true. New to the set. Nigga, you new booty. It's almost like saying you're a virgin to the set. Like, you're a virgin to the set. That's all. A virgin to the hood. New booty. It's true. It sound like prison talk. Well, I ain't never been to prison, so. Just sound like prison. Y'all stupid. He said, when the new booties call, phone check. Y'all stupid. Y'all.
Limerence is an all-consuming obsession or infatuation with someone you can't have, kind of an opiate made of unrequited love. Now, you might pine for them, you might pretend you're just friends and hope someday they'll return your feelings, or you might look for hidden meaning in their social media or in their texts. Anything that makes their non-interest in you offer hope that in fact they are interested. So glimmer is the feeling you get when you first recognize this person, kind of sparks that limerence in you. It's powerful, it's intoxicating, and it's a recognition that this person has that magic power to light up your heart and your imagination. It all begins. Everyone feels something like this when they fall in love, but if you have a pattern of limerence, beware. Glimmer is your warning sign that the whole cycle is beginning again, ready to isolate you in fantasy and rob you of actual love. There's still time right then to shut it down.
Wow. That's deep. Listen. This is why I bring these topics. I know they're nuanced. Listen. Sometimes our I guess our imagination or escapism is the most effective glimmer we use on ourselves, right? If I can escape this difficult moment. But I think, listen, psychology is moving towards it, I believe. Psychology is moving towards its origins, I believe. More of a spiritual understanding of things. Now, there's always going to be the scientific method, but I think a lot of things are being reframed right now. So, the whole concept of having to move away from something difficult, I think people don't understand that the peace is wherever you are, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Listen, I just saw The Wiz. Was it Glinda the Good Witch of the West? That's what she told Dorothy. You could have went home at any time, right? Home is in you. You remember the whole, hey, Andy, can you find that record where Lena Horne is singing If You Believe? Man, she got the little babies as stars, and she's basically explaining to them, it is within you. So many people have lost sight that all resources, all spiritual resources are located within. I don't think a glimmer can happen. Come on, give me some of this. Come on. Come on.
That no one can change the path that you must go. Believe what you feel.
Come on.
And know you're right. Because the time will come around when you'll say it's yours. Believe that you can go home. Believe you can settle.
Come on.
Take your heels 3 times. If you believe, well then you'll be there.
Come on. I'm just saying, I know it sounds corny. I know it sounds campy. But that should be a glimmer. The message, the music, the passion in the performance, right? The conviction Lena had in that moment to sell this song to the actress. You know who she was. Miss Ross, the boss, Diana Ross. There was so much passion in those performances, right? But I believe if you can bring those into your relationships where even in difficult times, even in tough times, you can find a moment of gratitude, a moment of appreciation, right? A moment where you can say, yes, this is not exactly what I wanted to be. However, I'm 10 steps away from where it started. And if I keep going in this direction, in 5 minutes, I'll be 1,000 steps away from that moment. Do you understand? And when the moment pulls you back to start the journey all over again, because that's what unhealed trauma does, you say, I accept coming back to this place, right? Because what I've learned since I've walked away from this moment has expanded my heart, has expanded my capacity to love, has expanded my capacity to not judge myself or others for that matter, right? I think this should become a practice where we begin to start glimmering each other. It's powerful stuff. When we come forward, the voice of reason will continue this bonfire. We on fire tonight! Oh, Nazarene X. Thank you for the cash app, brother. Hey, man, that's why I want you to call in. He said a glimmer is like smelling some good barbecue in the air while driving. You stupid. I don't like the fact that I'm not getting any callers. Who were the callers who called in before?
Staffers are leaving the campaign for Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. The Republican is now running for governor, but has faced problems since he was called out last week for allegedly referring to himself as a black Nazi and calling himself a perv on an adult film website forum before he entered politics over a decade ago. 4 people who worked on Robinson's campaign staff resigned over the weekend. Robinson says he feels like he is in a strong position. The Chicago contract for ShotSpotter has expired. 24th Ward Alderwoman Monique Scott says she expects that a special city council meeting will be held soon on the matter concerning the gun detection technology. Last week, the city council voted 33-14 to give Black Police Superintendent Mary Snelling.
Then y'all call when he's on the break. That's crazy.
Johnson, who is also black, called the move illegal and said.
What up, y'all? Y'all good? Who saw today's show? The Zoa show. That Zoa show was pretty good. I liked it. What is that? Hey, you got banned? Well, I don't know. It was cool. Marguerite Tate.
Hey, how was the wedding, Zo?
Hey man, Riza Islam's wedding was fly
Yo.
as
All I
hell.
saw was just the intro of him coming in. I was like, he came in like the Prince of Zamunda.
Prince of
Niggas
Zamunda.
is too stupid for coming out with that
Yo,
song,
it was fly, man. He
Yeah.
came out like Akeem.
For real? Okay.
We was like, what? Dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. We was like,
So he was,
yeah. We was like, yo. Yo, it was fly.
was there like a reception or was it?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Did you or did you bring some Sam's to the booth?
No.
All right, let me
No. I went up there by myself and it was a vibe, man. Everybody was there. Tariq Nasheed, Jeff Brown, Dewan B,
Okay.
Dougie Fresh,
Dougie
Tashina
Fresh?
Arnold. We was all in the same.
Doug E. Fresh?
Doug E. Fresh.
Okay.
We was all together at the VIP. They had our names on the table, you know. Yo, it was fly, bro. I was like, yeah, man.
Shout out to Reason, man.
Yeah, got a chance. Everybody in the VIP got a chance to take pictures with Reza and his wife.
Yeah.
It was real cool, man. Like, it was really fly.
That shit is dope, man. Shout out to Reason, man, for real.
Yeah. They had on the gold. The husband and wife had on the gold. They had like this gold fly African. Oh man, it was fly. And then no, it was like gold, like cream and gold. It was fly. And then
Tell Reason to put that shit on YouTube.
man, it was cold. They was filming it. And then, you know, the bridegroom and groomsmaid or whatever they're called, they had on like this satin or silk green. Oh, it was fly. That's a glimmer. How about that? It was a glimmer. Reza Islam's wedding was a glimmer, for sure. All right. We coming in. Twinkie what? What? What's happening? I was like, what is that? Electric Avenue. Oh. Get him.
Questions people bring to me when they start to develop their sixth sense is how can you tell the difference between real intuition and maybe what's just wishful thinking? It's a very good question. The good news is the answer is you can tell the difference because of the way each of those feel in your body. The first, wishful thinking, feels agitated. It doesn't feel steady. It goes up, it goes down, it feels like you're forcing it, it feels kind of wavery. It's not a settled inner thought, an inner sense. Whereas if it's intuition, it feels true. Every cell in your body relaxes. Even if what you're picking up isn't necessarily good news. Even if what you're tuning into isn't something that you want to acknowledge or to receive. It feels as though it clicks and something in your body, and do go back to your body, relaxes. It's very subtle, but it just kind of settles down. Wishful thinking, because it's a faculty of your intellect, bounces around, mixed with the energies of your emotions, which are kind of grabbing and pushing, and so there's no place for the frequency to settle. The other thing about wishful thinking is that it changes. First it'll say one thing, and then it'll kind of shift, and then you'll start hearing something else, and you'll second guess, and you'll wonder, and you won't feel that it's consistent. Whereas if it's intuition, it's the same intuition in the morning, in the night, at lunchtime. It's steady, it's consistent, it doesn't waver. So, of course, these are very subtle signatures to pay attention to, but most people that I've worked with over the years can make that distinction. So if it's wishful thinking, the last clue I wanted to...
So, you know what's real deep about this clip? For a lot of men, this is all foreign talk. Right? But this is the conduit to self-awareness. This is what mindfulness means. See, a lot of people will throw around these terms, but this is what she's describing is how you go inward. That is the process of inward excavation, right? And yeah, it becomes spirit talk. It becomes, oh, that's that nebulous, strange stuff, man. Keep it simple for me. No, spirituality is nebulous, right? And, self-work and healing work is a spiritual practice. It's not a psychological one. Although a psychologist can help you begin that process. But as you start going deeper and deeper into yourself, you're going to start to reveal aspects of yourself that might even shock you. Glimmers must be cultivated from the inside out. We cannot become addicted to the external source of that. Again, that's attachment. We got callers on the line. Brother Nazarene X from Atlanta, Georgia. Long time no hear. What up, nephew? What's the word?
What up, man? I was going back to bed, listening to that Footloose. Yeah, that co-host got me jumping over here with a little twinkle toes, man.
Now, listen, help me to understand. It sounded glimmery, didn't it? Play a little bit more of it real quick. Why? It sounded it sounded very glimmery. Now, if I'm to understand correctly, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan because he's a younger generation. Was that the brother? The Weekend, right? That's The Weekend, right? To me, To- No, but let it play a little bit. Wait. To me, it sounds like 80s, 1980s, video game music. Like when I was in the 80s as a kid, this is what this sounds like. It's like, come on, let's go down to the arcade. Let's go now. See, I'm glimmering right now. This is a moment that feels good to me. Hey, come on, let's go play Pac-Man and Centipede, and Donkey Kong. Turn it up, Weekend. Let's go. This is one of those feel-good moments. We're glimmering in live time. Listen, stay with me, brother. When we come forward. Oh, I got time. No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I'm sorry. We had a...
Nah, you good. Hey, look, we could stay in there. What's that joke called? The DeLorean?
That's a... Yes.
That's...
That's...
Has that, that vibe, man. Let's take off on it one time.
It was glimmery, bro. It's very glimmery. Now, let me ask you a question. Now, I mean, we black men in America, right? And we're asked to do a lot. And at the same time, we recoil from a lot of heavy emotional lifting, right? How do we delve into the emotional work that we need to do in order to show up as a functioning, healthy human being in intimate relationships? What's your process, bro? Are you struggling? Just if you're struggling, say so.
Hey, look, one of the things that come to mind is, everyone finding their own way of translating it, but it's like, if you don't have a sense of self that you can live with or, come down to, I think that's step one. It's like getting grounded within. Again, I like to hear in those words, just finding a relationship with God, first and foremost, because it's almost like, if you want to release any type of burden, I feel that it's important to have some place of reference to where it went. Because you still, as you reconnect with yourself emotionally, or you learn to gather your thoughts or gather your wits about yourself, you're going to find that those glimmers, those twinklings, those inklings, and all of those names that we're going to be responding to as we get more glimmery, as we reconnect to our inner child, as we get feeling.
Wait, you need the Weeknd's music behind you right now. That's just softly in the background as we get more glimmery. Come on, brother, I'm listening.
Okay. Look, I don't want you to do no drugs that I ain't get paid for, okay?
Right.
I ain't gonna give no game. Look, man, we're here to have fun and realize that as we share our world with one another, we are recognizing ourselves. It's like when we make eye contact. It's almost like that "where did you go" type of feeling when we meet someone for the first time, like, yo, have we met before?
But let me ask you.
So
this is deep, brother. What you breaking down here? How often do you have moments where you doubt the knowledge of yourself that's coming in? Where you go, this isn't me. This isn't who I am. I want to be better than this. I'm not enough. Like, how do you process those feelings of inadequacy?
A lot of times up front, because I'm still listening to the dance and, doing my own two-step as well.
Right.
That's an ongoing thing, but, at one point, I feel like you get so shook by the discord or the disruption in the rhythm, you want to leave the dance floor, right? But that's, again, shout out to Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. The difference between music and noise is what it makes you want to do when you hear it.
Right.
So if you're trying to leave and get rid of the dancing, that's one thing, but once you kind of stay in the pocket and listen to feel it through, all right, well, this is my two-step, I can't go nowhere.
Mm.
And your dance partner, if you're still looking out, you gonna see who like on that same type of time. It's almost like that, you know the thing with the headphones? And people have like the little silent dance
Noise cancellation.
Yeah, it's like people have different songs playing in their little earphones.
Yeah.
Everybody don't gotta be dancing. Like, you know what I'm saying, to the same song, but when you look around, something gonna make sense. Like, that's how I look at it now, actually.
Man, let me just say, man.
I ain't gonna pay for all the drugs, it's just, I'm gonna go.
Let me just say something, man. I love chopping it up with my nephew, man. All of y'all, my nieces and nephews, man. This is my nephew from Atlanta, Georgia, man. He brought his city in the building. If you want to bring yours in the building, all you got to do is call me at 1-800-920-1580. When I come forward, of course, Zoe Williams has even more fire to cook up. Let's get it. Stop adopting everybody. Jeez. Oh, that's some prima. That's prima talk right there, boy. That is definitely some prima talk. Dream. She probably be looking. She probably be watching. She just ain't gonna say nothing. She funny. She'll tell me, I heard what you said. And I was like, oh, you just back there lurking? You one of the lurkers now? She do be lurking. What is Brazen on? He want to talk or he want to play?
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain
10 minutes.
Find out more about your rights.
Y'all stupid.
In a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles.
I really don't think relationship is that hard. I really think some put too much thought into it. That's because most people are not thinkers. Love is spiritual. And nobody is saying that spiritual has to be hard. You know, let me give you a perfect example. Have you ever seen one of those complex puzzles? Like with the nails that are twisted? Right? And it looks complex. But when you understand how they're connected, you find the little whoop, and then it comes, you know, a loose easily. It's more of a puzzle, right? Sometimes you have to put together the pieces, right, of your childhood in your adult relationship. Somebody meme it. Sometimes you have to put together the pieces of your childhood, especially if it was fractured and broken in some way. You have to put those pieces together in adult relationship. I'll tell you how. That playlist is on fire tonight. Did I mix it up tonight? Woo, that playlist.
Just try to be still and understand that things come and go. Emotions come and go. The important thing is to accept them all, to embrace them all, and then you can choose to do with them what you want versus being controlled by emotion.
We love you, Kobe. Legendary Kobe Bryant, KB24. And you say, well, why would you play that for a relationship show? Because the principle still applies to relationships. Acceptance, right? You know, utilizing glimmers to improve mental health opens pathways for healing and resilience. By consistently and consciously seeking and amplifying these moments, we can create a robust emotional foundation. This proactive approach aligns with insights of Iyanla Vanzant, who emphasizes the importance of self-love and acceptance in personal transformation. Moreover, Glimmers play a pivotal role in healing trauma by focusing on small positive experiences, joy, laughter, fun, touch, whatever it may be. Individuals can gradually rewire their emotional responses, fostering a sense of safety and empowerment. However, a critical question emerges. Are we forever focusing on triggers to avoid confronting our inner turmoil? This propensity to, dilute the seriousness of trauma and contribute to a culture of victimhood, as suggested by thinkers like Dr. Ramani and Noam Chomsky. I think it could be very negative, right? Again, that natural proclivity to move away from that which is uncomfortable sometimes actually sustains those pains. Now, Krishnamurti, he puts it a different way. He's talking about observing without judgment. See, if you can observe without judgment, meaning you look at that wounded child and you say, it's my fault, right? That wounded inner child, you go, it's my fault. I'm responsible for the abuse I experienced. It's my fault, right? I should have did this. Do you see? If you can look at what happened in the past and say, I'm not responsible for someone's response or reaction to me. I'm not responsible for that, right? Do you see? You find a glimmer in it. You know what? Having overcome this childhood trauma, this childhood wound, I've become a more resilient and stronger person, like spiritually, right? Of course, it was uncomfortable and painful at the time that in which it happened, but that thing happening was the catalyst for the growth. Now, the difficulty lies in this, it seems to me, in the capacity to observe, to see things as they are, not as we would like them to be or what they should be, but actually what is going on. To so observe has its own discipline, not the discipline of imitation or compulsion or conformity. But that very observation brings its own discipline, not imposed, not conforming to any particular pattern, which implies suppression, but to observe. After all, when you do observe something very closely or listen to somebody very fully, that very listening and seeing, in that is implied attention. And where there is attention, there's discipline. Without being disciplined. If that is clear, the next point is, in observing, there is always the observer. The observer who, with his prejudices, with his conditioning, with his fears and his guilt, and all the rest of it, he is the observer, the censor, and through his eyes he looks, and therefore he is really not looking at all. Imagine your wound. This is your wound he's describing. If that is clear, the next point is observing, right? In observing, there's always the observer, right? The observer who, with his prejudices, right? With his conditioning, with his fears and his guilt and all the rest of it. He is the observer, the censor, and through his eyes he looks, and therefore he is not really looking at all. He is merely coming to conclusions based upon his past experiences and knowledge. You can't internally glimmer up, glow up, show up, spiritually grow up until you turn this filter off, looking at the world through the lens of unhealed wounds, right? He is merely coming to conclusions based upon his past experiences and knowledge. The past experience and conclusions and knowledge prevent actually seeing. And when there is such an observer, what he observes is something different, or something which he has to conquer or to change, and so on and so on. Whereas if the observer is the observed, I think this is a really radical thing to understand. Really, the most important thing to understand is if we are going to discuss anything seriously, that in us, there is this division, this contradiction, the observer and the many fragments which he observes. And so when we say relationship is a mirror and you get who you are, right? This is coming out of that. If you do not tell that wound that it is loved, it is appreciated, right? It is not condemned. The wound begins to flower. The wound begins to expand. The wound begins to say, you know what? There's a gift in here that's important for you to receive. But if we continue to run, the lessons will continue to get more and more difficult, harder, and they'll keep coming. Let's learn how to glimmer. Let's look for the good things, the positive things. Listen, I started the conversation. It's up to you to finish it. So Williams, the voice of reason, will be back tomorrow with another slapper. Love y'all. Deuces. You gonna tell what? I got everything. Everything. Deuces. Yes, sir. Holla, bro. Shwam bam bam bam, shama bam bam bam, shama bam 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 bam, shama bam 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 bam, shama bam 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 bam. Oh, sorry. I'm having a whole performance. Ziggazow, ziggazow. Yeah. Shama bam bam bam. Today was a good day. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tapping in, chiming in, tuning in. Y'all know what it is. We do our best to make it through every show. It was a insightful show. Love it. Y'all stay tuned for tomorrow. We're going to have another one going, all right?